This is the Transforming Anxiety Podcast with Kelly Hanlon McCormick, and today is episode number 209, Your Daily Routine. Welcome to Transforming Anxiety. I'm your host, Kelly McCormick. I'm a mom to 2 boys, a wife, friend, daughter, and sister, and I'm a certified life coach, yoga teacher, and soon-to-be mindfulness meditation teacher. I'm no stranger to anxiety, and I'm here to teach you how to manage your mind and your emotions so that you too can transform anxiety into calm, peace, and whatever you want for your life. I'm so glad you're here. Hey there. Welcome in today. I hope you're doing well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, right? Wherever this finds you, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, who knows? I'm so glad you're here. So glad that we spend this time together. I love it. So listen, today I want to talk about your daily routine, and specifically, I want to give you a way to think about how to set up your daily routine. I'm not so interested in what your daily routine actually looks like the individual building blocks that go into what you do pretty much every day. We could talk about that. It's not uninteresting, right? That stuff matters. But today, I want to consider the skeleton or the template that you can use to craft your daily routine and why you'd want to do this in the first place, right? So before we get into this, because I know you'll ask, I will share my personal daily routine with you here, just to give you an idea of what my typical weekday looks like. I use a lot of the same practices and a lot of the same building blocks for my weekends as well, but we're going to focus on weekdays here since that's the majority of the week, and also because I hear from you and it seems that this is the place most people struggle to create regularity and routine with what they want if they're struggling with daily routine stuff. So, to start off with, I'm up annoyingly early. And I don't want you to hear any of what I'm about to share about my daily routine. I don't want you to hear any of this as the quote unquote right way to do things at all. I know you're going to ask about what I do, which is why I'm sharing this here. I am not sharing this as a here's what works, you must adopt this and use this thing at all. So please don't hear this and think that you need to do it this way too. Okay, this is just what works for me. It's what works for this phase of my life. This is what works for my family and the age that my kids are at and the work that I'm doing and just who I want to be and how I want to feel in my life. So, yes, I'm up early. Honestly, that's usually before 5 a.m. I practice yoga first thing. I get a good hour, usually an hour and a half of yoga in pretty much every day, pretty much first thing. From there, it's packing lunches, it's getting my boys ready for school, getting them out the door. Now, again, I want to put some caveats here. You know that I work for myself. You know that I work from home. So a lot of this too is because I have the absolute privilege of creating my own schedule from top to bottom. Believe me, I understand what a gift that is. I worked in corporate for 15 years and I know all too well what it's like to have hours and commutes and all that fun. I get it. So just keep this in mind too. Once I get the boys on the bus, I take the dog for a walk. Usually, I am lucky enough to get to do this with a friend. Not every day, but one of my closest girlfriends and I both have kids that get on the bus together. She also works from home. So typically we get to do a walk and talk together most weekdays. And just quick sidebar, that's the sum total of our friendship right now. We've known each other for 10 years. We have hung out and done holidays and stuff together in the past. But right now, honestly, we rarely see each other outside of either the kids' school activities and bumping into each other at middle school or high school or whatever, and that morning walk. But it really works. And I love that about our friendship. Okay, so from there, I get home, I get ready for the day. By now I'm on cup of tea number 2 or 3. That's important, right? I also practice intermittent fasting, which is really neither here nor there. This is another random aside. So I usually am eating between the hours of 9:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. Again, that's not right. That's just something that's working for me right now. It works for me logistically. It works for me health-wise. It works for me scheduling-wise. It just suits me right now. So that's what I'm doing. I get ready for the day, and then I work probably from about 9:30 or so until my people start coming home around 3. So I'm usually tying up some loose ends in that 3 o'clock hour, maybe sending a few last emails. And then I take another walk. I kind of think of that afternoon walk as like my afternoon commute. It's a signal to myself that the workday is over and that I'm transitioning to personal time and to family time for the evening. It creates this really solid break where I am forced to step away from my desk. I step away from my computer, and most days I'm getting outside, right? So when I get home from that walk, it's typically time to either get kids off to activities. Maybe we start making dinner. We're getting a few things done around the house, helping with homework. You know the drill. From there, post-dinner, post-activities, like we're all back home, it's very intentional winding down. We're getting things quieter and darker in the house to prepare for bedtime. Like showers for the kids, that's when everybody starts reading. And then I'm in bed. I usually have the lights out by about 9:30 or so because I'm up so obnoxiously early, right? That's a typical routine for a typical ordinary work day during the school year for me. Now, it took me a few years to fall into something that works regularly, that feels really sustainable from all angles. And I ask questions like, am I getting enough rest and sleep? Do I have time to be with my kids and to stay on top of their activities and help them with their homework, get them to school events and just be on top of what's happening at school? Is there space for cooking and for eating relaxed meals? Even if it's not always together, even if it's not every single day. Do I have time for friends? Am I getting outside? Am I reading daily? Do I have some time to watch great shows? Am I having fun? Am I talking with my extended family? Is my work getting done each day, each week, each month, without me having to rush or without me feeling burned out? Is the business of the household getting enough attention? Like the yard, the bills, like those one-off things that always come up, right? Just checking in with all angles that way. But for now, again, for this season of my life, this is what's working. This is what's feeling pretty good. So I got to thinking about my daily routine and some of what I was hearing from students when they talked about feeling overly tired or never having enough time or being overwhelmed or never taking time to do fun things just for themselves. And I was like, what's going on? Like, what's the difference here? Again, not that I've necessarily cracked the code and that I have all of the answers, but I started digging in with some of my students to better understand how their days and their weeks were looking and what was and was not working for them. What we could maybe clean up or to try differently and just see what happened, right? And I found that there is an arc to most people's days that tends to work. And I've fallen into somewhat of a template, like the skeleton, that most people can use for at least their quote unquote normal days, right? The days that they have most of the time. And this framework works because it meets us where we're at energetically throughout the day. And here's the best part. I didn't come up with this. I'm simply recognizing a pattern, something that works, and I saw that it matched something ancient, something that has been in play for thousands of years, which is the arc of a yoga practice. So, my yogis will know this, but let me walk you through how a typical yoga class goes, okay? When you go to practice yoga, This is how it goes down pretty much every time. No matter where you go, no matter what teacher, this is pretty much the gist. You start out slowly, right? You get warmed up a bit. Then you do what we think of in the West as yoga. Okay, you move through all the postures. There's standing poses, there's seated poses, and you go through the yoga sequence and move. Then at the end of that, you lie down in Shavasana or corpse pose. You're flat on your back, your eyes are closed, you rest. And then you meditate. In fact, if you go back in the teachings, the whole asana practice, the yoga postures themselves, became a practice so that you could meditate. Ancient yogis recognized that in order for people to sit and to meditate, they had to move all of their energy and kind of wear out their physical body first. So that, you can't just bam, go right into sitting and meditating. They recognized that wasn't a great fit. So I offer this framework to you as well, but let's consider how to apply this to your daily routine. How this could work for you and the things that you both need, but also want to do during a typical day. So there's something about movement first thing, right? Just like when you go to yoga, the first thing you do is move. If you have tried this yourself, if you already do this regularly, you know how good it feels to exercise first thing in the morning. But there's also a lot of science that backs up how great exercise is early in your day, for reasons like you're more likely to do it because there are fewer distractions first thing in the day than in the evenings, right? You tend to make healthier food choices throughout the day because you've already done something good for yourself. Morning workouts match your body's natural hormonal rhythms. For instance, cortisol, which keeps you awake and alert, is highest in the morning. So you're working with this natural state by working out early instead of against it by exercising later in the day. Regular exercise boosts your energy. So starting your day off this way gives you a great and natural upswing in energy to carry you through your day. You tend to be in a better mood throughout the day since you're helping your body complete the stress response by moving any pent-up emotional energy early in the day. And exercising early in the day can help improve your sleep, since getting going first thing in the morning exposes your eyes and your brain to light early on, which not only wears you out and it makes it easier for you to feel tired at the end of the day, but can also boost your natural production of melatonin by helping your body to sync up with circadian rhythms. That's just to name a few. Okay, so that's the movement part. Get up, exercise early, move early, go for a walk, do yoga, go to the gym, whatever your jam is, right? That's the movement part. All those wacky poses in the practice of yoga. That's that part. Now, next in yoga comes Shavasana, where you rest. Now, this is the part where maybe the analogy falls apart a little bit, but just stick with me. We're going to apply this to your daily routine and our modern lifestyles, okay? For a lot of us, our days are spent mostly sitting. We don't have to fight it or argue with it. That's just the nature of the beast these days, right? I actually go ahead and think of this whole day part where we're resting our physical body. This is somewhat like the Shavasana part of yoga. It's mostly sedentary. It's physically restful. It is what it is, right? We can take breaks. We can get a standing desk. Sure, that's good. But if you move in the morning and get your exercise in, it's okay to be restful for a bit, to let that take, right? To give your body some time to recover and restore. So the modern day version is the work day where we're sitting. Shavasana. That's kind of sacrilege. But it fits the mold kind of sort of, and it just is what modern day life it looks like, right? Okay, this is maybe the most important part though. Let's talk about meditation, right? The end of the yoga practice, the end of your day. This is important. This is vital. you've moved, right? You're exercising first thing. And then you've done the work, right? The modern day version of Shavasana, where you're more still, you're a little bit more quiet physically through the day. But you're also likely using your mind a lot. You're thinking, you're figuring, maybe you're making a lot of decisions and sifting and sorting and creating. So you've been physically active. You've likely been mentally active throughout the day as well. Now we're into the evening, the meditative part of the day. If you think of the arc of a day like the arc of a yoga practice. And it's time to get still. It's time to get quiet. It's time to get mindful. I like to take this time for family, for reading, for wrapping up the day, maybe getting outside, doing something enjoyable and easy, especially as compared to the physical activity of exercise and the mental activity of work and managing the household. This time of the day is for recuperation. It's for restoration. There's more stillness to it. Again, this is borrowing from the arc of how a yoga practice is set up, that there's a system to it. There's a reason for why we do things this way. And I think it kind of makes sense when you think about it. And I know it makes sense in my body because I live it and I feel it every day. It works. But here's what I sometimes or oftentimes hear and see in students. They try to kind of flip this around. Maybe not intentionally, but it's just what kind of winds up happening with their day, with their schedule. Maybe they sleep in and then they wind up rushing through the morning feeling super panicked because they're going to be late, they're going to forget something. So they start the day off without movement and they're in an all-out anxiety attack almost, cortisol, adrenaline flooding their system before they've started working, before they're taking care of the kids and moving through the day, right? It's like early, bam, welcome to the day. Then they try to bring a sense of capability and confidence to whatever their day holds. They're trying to be cool and calm and keep things together, to manage their tasks and activities, to take care of projects and to-do lists, but they're downing coffee or soda for the caffeine. They're distracted and unfocused. Their emotions are yanking them all over the place, and it's frustrating. It's a hard way to be effective and competent moving through the day that way. It's like going straight to Shavasana from panic, right? Instead of moving the energy, instead of channeling that internal power of the stress response through and out of your body, they're churning with all of the energy bottled up inside and then trying to be clear-headed, trying to be calm, trying to be capable. It's tough. It's hard to meet yourself there when you're coming from a completely different emotional and energetic place. So then they get home, or the day wraps up, or all the people come home from work and from school, and instead of bringing a sense of winding down, a sense of relaxation to the evening, many of us are starting to ramp things way up. This is when we try to get all the things done, right? You're cleaning the house, you're shooting off emails, you're finishing one last thing for work. Maybe you're signing up for school programs and packing your calendar more full. It's the opposite of that meditative quality we bring to the end of a yoga practice. That sense and that feel that would set us up so nicely for a good night's sleep so we're ready to go again the next day, reinvigorated and rested and refreshed. This is usually when people are doing things like doom scrolling, right? Online shopping for things they don't need, over drinking, zoning out in front of the TV, watching things they don't even want to be watching. This is when we tend to make poor food choices or stay up later than we want to. This is when we start tough conversations or pick a fight with our partner or our kids. This is what always happens. It's bedtime, right? And the kids ask us about like God or what happens when we die, right? It's too much for the evening. It's too much. We can't do that kind of work after 5 p.m. I don't know the exact timeline, but I do love what Glennon Doyle says with this. She says that she quits every day, right? She also gets up obnoxiously early. She's up in the 4 o'clock hour like I am. She works hard all day. She's writing, she's fighting the good fight, she's being the best mom and activist and podcaster that she can be. And then she quits. She goes to the couch. She rests. And I love this. We must quit every day. Every day there's a time, there's an hour when we need to hang it up and say, I'm done. But I will try again tomorrow. I will show up again tomorrow. Now it's time to rest. So this is the arc, right? Really, it's how it almost has to go. It makes sense when we hit pause and we look at it like this, when we lay it all out. We know that we can go hard, we can work, we can be effortful and intentional, and then we must rest. And not that whiplash, throw yourself to bed late, overly tired, and overly anxious, but in a really intentional, well set up, well thought out way. We all know this on some level, but not many of us are doing this. So here's what I want to offer you. There's nothing you can get done or cram in or force yourself through when you're going nonstop and you're not allowing that final meditative resting part of the day. Nothing that you won't do 10 or 100 times better if you allow yourself the full arc. Meaning, you do the going, you do the doing, you do the creating and producing, and then you rest. It requires both. You know this. And the reason you know this is because you've tried it the other way. Maybe you're trying it the other way, right? It doesn't work. Not for anyone. I know you think it works, and it does for a while, right? We all have tricks and hacks, and we can make it look like it's all going really well for a while. Sure. But it doesn't. It's not sustainable. It just isn't. It would be like running a car forever and never gassing it up, right? It doesn't work. So I offer the arc of a yoga practice, the movement, the shavasana, and the meditation as a framework for your daily routine, as a way to set yourself up for success on a regular basis. Exercise early. Get your thinking and mental processing done during the middle, and then rest. It works. Now, I'd be curious to hear from you. I'd be curious how this looks and feels in your life. So reach out to me. Let me know your daily routine and give this a whirl. And listen, be willing to try it for like a few months, not for the next couple of days. This isn't like a one shot or a quick fix. Really do it and see how reframing and organizing your life can impact it. The shift that can bring to things like, perhaps, how anxious you're feeling. Work with yourself. Stop fighting yourself. All right, that's what I've got for you today. Your daily routine. So I will be back next week, same time, same place, for more Transforming Anxiety. Please don't forget to rate and review the show. If you haven't already, I would really appreciate it. But even more importantly, our other anxious friends looking for support would appreciate it because it makes the show easier for them to find. Yeah? All right. Until next week, please take care. Do you have someone to help you with your stress, anxiety, worry, and overwhelm? If not, I would love to be your coach. The Fierce Calm Project is my virtual coaching program where we get to go in on topics like this one, and I can help you apply these lessons to your life so that you're creating your own transformation. We do live coaching calls, guided meditations, on-demand yoga classes. We hold book club where we read books your neighborhood book club won't, and there's lots of bonus content that I've created just for you. When you're ready to take what you're learning on the podcast to a whole other level, then come on over and check out the Fierce Calm Project at kellyhanlonmccormick.com/Fierce Calm Project.